Welcome back to the Complete Game Podcast, episode Shohei. All right,
74.
whatever. Episode 70 doesn't matter. It's Shohei Ohtani's episode. I don't even know where at times you run out of superlatives and it's like, oh my God, the hyperbole, you're getting excited. But I don't even know where to start. I mean, you said, and I didn't realize it, the Brewers scored 4 runs in the game. So the Brewers in the
In the
series.
series, yeah.
In the series, I meant Brewers in the series beat Shohei Ohtani tonight 4-3. But 6 innings, 10 punch outs, 2 hits, just dominating. The Dodgers starting pitching was just insane. 3 for 3 with 3 homers.
What I'll say is, growing up as your kid and being sort of disillusioned to things like this happening around you, the 04 comeback, I was 9 years old. So stuff like that, it kind of loses its luster. Tonight I was a 9-year-old kid on the couch again because I was sitting next to Nolan's mom and she's watching Shohei Ohtani's third at bat. She doesn't watch baseball. And she looks over and she's like, "Why is everyone standing up?" And I go, "Because there's a legitimate chance he might hit a third home run." And as I'm saying that, boom, 400 feet to straightaway center field for the third time this game. It was as fun as a sweep could have been, that game.
Yeah, as entertaining
Yeah.
as a sweep could have been. Yeah, because you had 4 dominant starting pitching efforts from the Dodgers. And I said, I think after game 2, if they're going to pit, I mean, obvious, stating the obvious. That offense, if they're going to pitch like that, then don't even need to play the games. I mean, but and we're going to talk about it, but I want to back up to game 3 because I've said it 5,500 times on this show. Saber Metrics baseball doesn't win in October, and what the Brewers did in game 3, I will never be able to explain. They started Ashby, who went a third of an inning, triple double, got an out and a hit or whatever. He got pulled after a third of an inning, and they brought Mizorowski in to throw 5. What are you doing? Why wouldn't you just start him? There's no logic to that whatsoever. Because you have, and I don't buy the opener thing anyway. I understand why teams do it, but in October, I think it's absolutely a joke, and isn't a winning strategy. But if you're going to pitch the kid for 5, why? I don't understand that. I can't explain it. Why wouldn't you start him? Because you need momentum, and he's a swing and miss guy who can give you, and you're on the road. He can shut the crowd up,
Which he did. He came in that first inning where LA was on their feet and they pulled Ashby and they were getting loud for a stadium that is the least rowdy of the 4 left. And
don't understand
he shut
it.
them
and
up.
I'm going to keep saying it. You don't win in October with Saber Metrics baseball. And to anybody listening, I dare you to show me a team that's done it. In fact, I would argue Saber Metrics has cost teams World Series. Managing sabermetrically has cost teams World Series. Starting for my first one was the Snell with the Rays, and it's happened since then. It's just in October baseball, it's an absolute nightmare because momentum is it's not quantifiable by sabermetricians, and so they don't like it. But it's a thing in October, and pitchers can give momentum. A reliever throwing an inning is not going to give anybody momentum. But Ohtani, let's fast forward now. Ohtani punches out the side in the top of the first, then leads off the bottom of the first, which, by the way, in a postseason game, that's a momentum thing. You go out and punch out the side in the top of the first. In a home game, crowd is lit. I know because I've done it. And I know and your guys are like, okay, here we go. And then you come out and lead off the bottom of the first full count and hit a bomb, which his second one was we'll talk about that in a second, but you hit a bomb to lead off the game. And so
it's like we were talking about with Coach Clark, where you were describing that feeling you had when you were locked in and in the zone that Shohei was in tonight, where you tell the guys they're not getting another one or they're not going to get one off me tonight. Like, Shohei doesn't even have to say that. He can provide the runs and the pitching. They're
crazy. Worried about that without him acting like it. You're worried about being one hit through 6 by him.
He looks like he is playing spring training baseball too. Like he looks like he's the most nonchalant. He's just
No,
enjoying
he's
himself.
6'4" 14-year-old throwing 85 and hitting 4 homers. He's Bryce Harper in high school, but he's throwing 97 with a split. It's just you've never seen it before because it's never happened before. Babe Ruth, nope, not even close. This is yeah, and for those of you that didn't watch, the second home run, I would argue it's happened less than 20 times in history. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure hitting a ball out of Dodger Stadium, which is a monstrous ballpark to begin with. If you homer to the back of the bullpens on either side, people will talk about it for weeks. He hit a ball out of Dodger Stadium.
I think Manny is the only one I can remember doing it.
I don't remember Manny hitting one out of Dodger
I think he
Stadium. I
did it.
remember him
I
hitting one
think
to
he
the
did
back
it
of the
on
bullpen.
roids the first time he was in LA as a
I don't
Dodger.
know. I don't know, but I don't remember seeing it. The farthest home run I've ever seen, honestly, was Mike Piazza hit one off me to right field to the back row of the bleachers.
In LA.
Opposite field to the back row of the bleachers, which is farther than any left-hander ever hit a ball off me. But magical.
So the
Good for baseball.
Dodgers punch their ticket. Do either of the
Right,
American
and
League teams have a chance? Because they look like they can win every way that you win a baseball game.
was
2-1, 8-5,
that might
8 to
have
nothing.
been as close as the scores might have seemed early in the games. That was as the least competitive series that I've seen in a long time. And listen, you know how I talk about this as a form. All due respect to the Brewers, they had a great year. I loved their story. I loved everything they did. They
and
didn't
they'll be
belong
back.
on
They
the field.
have a young core.
Yeah. Yep. And I like Murphy and I like what they have, but that series was never competitive. They never had a chance.
The Dodgers are the new Yankees when I was growing up, where they spend the money and they also like these big names. They show up like that.
Right.
Shohei was hitting like 190 going into tonight, and boom, 3 home runs, 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. Like every one of these guys is going to have their moment.
One of the dynamics that you put together when you put together a monster roster like that, it's almost impossible not to win because not only is Bryce Harper trying to be a great player, he's trying to out-hit Kyle Schwarber. Not only is Mookie Betts trying to be a great player, he's trying to out-hit Freddie Freeman in a very friendly, competitive way. Not only was I trying to be the best pitcher in the game, but I was trying to out-pitch Randy Johnson. That dynamic with good team players, and they are all those guys, is a just it's so easy to manage because you don't have to do a lot. And if you argue that the Dodgers have a hole, no one ever got to see it. The hole in the Dodgers organization and that team is the middle relief. They have very few arms they can count on out of their bullpen. They didn't have to use it. They got dominant starts from their starters. Dominant starts. You handed a sticky bullpen. You handed them 4 and 5 run leads, or you didn't hand them a lead at all. You just took it yourself. I mean, they almost goofed up with Snell, and I thought that was a mistake, but they got lucky and got out of it and got away with it. And that could have changed everything. My God, just absolute sheer dominance. You know what? When we were in spring training, this was the Dodger team. Everybody expected to go 162-0.
Yep, and they got healthy at the right time, and now Shohei is alive. Like they just look ridiculous.
But like I said, if these managers and GMs aren't paying attention, you can't use openers in October to win consistently, and it's not going to work. I don't care. You're going to win a game here and there, whatever. But October baseball there is so much more emotion in the game, and you need to do things that create emotion. You need to create momentum, and again, 5 relievers throwing an inning a third creates 0 momentum. So you're going to have to hit, right? You want your home crowd in, you're going to have to hit. You're not going to be standing, on your feet for strikeout number 10 by Tarik Skubal with 5 relievers or 6 relievers. And Skubal's something we got to talk about too. But sheer domination. Kudos to the Dodgers. Great year for the Brewers. they'll be back. They need to stay healthy and do some things. And then you had Kyle tonight in Seattle. You had Cal Raleigh doing Cal Raleigh things.
Well, yeah, and then a guy whose performance will probably get overshadowed outside of Seattle, everywhere else in the world, is Eugenio Suarez, who hit 2
Yeah,
home runs tonight, including the grand slam of the Mariners' franchise history to take a
right.
4-run lead late in the game in the 8th inning.
Down 2-1, bottom of the 8th.
No, they tied it. Raleigh tied it 2-2.
But I'm saying they're going into the bottom of the 8th down 2-1.
Well, yeah, and then Raleigh
Right?
ties it with that
Raleigh
bomb,
ties it.
and then they
Raleigh
load the
ties it.
bases.
Yep.
But it's that series is going to come down to tonight. It was if you watch the game, the Toronto Blue Jays had their chance. They loaded the bases twice in the 4th and 5th inning. They struck out and grounded into a double play, and after that, they didn't have anything other than
and I would argue
double off the wall was the last gasp, and it missed a home run by about 5 feet.
But you had a Saber Metrics game again. Gaussman goes 91 pitches, 5 2/3. Certainly not too many pitches for him to not stay in the game. And here's the thing: he didn't lose the game. He went 5 2. But the fact of the matter is, if he goes another inning and goes 6 2/3, the last 3 pitchers come in looking different. It's different guys and getting different outs. Now on the flip side, the Mariners, Miller throws 56 pitches in 4 innings and he's done. And then they bullpen it out, and that ends up winning. But it's like I said, it's such a I think it's such a losing brand of baseball. And yeah, Suarez, hey, trade deadline moves, man. Probably not the biggest news item in the trade deadline this year, but had a monster run with Seattle. And did exactly what they traded for him to do.
Well, and Josh Naylor, who's
right.
hit the shit out of the ball. He's hitting 325 right now. He's been one of their most consistent bats throughout this run.
Yep. So, but the Mariners, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Mariners are the first team in that series to win at home. And again, bottom of the 8th. Well, there's a saying that when I was young, I heard a lot of guys say, when you put up crooked numbers, oftentimes you score more runs in an inning than the other team does in the game. And if you look at that inning, you're going to find walks. Like I said, you rarely see in these series with these pitching staffs 4, 5, 6 hits in a row because they just don't do it. The pitching is so good.
That was another moment tonight that I just was reminded of looking at the box score. It was 1st and 2nd in the 8th after Raleigh tied it, when they were in the midst of loading the bases, and Arozarena got hit by the pitch, and he was all fired up. And Danielle looks at me and goes, "Why is he happy about getting hit?" And I go, "Because he just loaded the base with no outs, and they're about to take the lead." And it was maybe a 1-1 count grand slam, and it was again a no doubter. Like that was the moment that this series has been waiting for, with no team winning a home game. That it just boiled over all at once like a pot with boiling water. It was awesome.
Well, and this will go back to my fundamental conversation, and I know people might be tired of hearing it, but this is the difference between relievers and throwers. They walked 6 guys tonight, the Blue Jays pitching, which is absurd and unheard of, and you can't do that in October. But you've got, Little got nobody out, no outs. He gives up a hit, walks 2 guys, and then Dominguez comes in, and Suarez does what Suarez does. But the fact of the matter is, Little comes in and throws 15 pitches. He throws 5 strikes. Come on. But what do I tell you? When you're sabermetrically driving a pitching staff in the playoffs, you're not looking for your starter to be hot. You're looking for 6 guys to have an on night at the same time. And it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that way. And it was obviously all hands on deck. I'm not sure. I have to look. I was kind of surprised to see Wu come out of the bullpen, although I had heard he was that guy. I just thought that they were going to possibly give him a shot at taking the ball later in the series first. Not that he can't, but it felt like the Mariners were managing this game as a win or go home game.
Yeah, the same way, I mean, they'll obviously with more urgency the first 2 games, which we haven't talked about either. We should probably give the Blue Jays a little bit of their flowers too because
Oh my God, yeah.
they did
Yeah.
make this a series, and they
Well, they
did
pounded the crap out of the Mariner pitching for 2
what did
nights,
they
and
hit
Vlad
5
did
home
Vlad
runs?
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just continues to put on one of the best postseason runs since, at least
Yep.
for me
Well,
personally, watching
and
since Ortiz that I can remember.
let's be clear, there is there are certain guys, well, here's the other thing. They win 6-2, and in the last 2 nights, Jimenez, their 9-hitter, has gone deep
They won
for
8-2 and
Toronto.
13-4.
Yeah, just killing them. With bad pitch. But tonight, Guerrero goes 1 for 2 and walks twice, which is, how far you have to throw the ball in strike zone to walk anybody named Guerrero. But that's the lineup where, hey, I don't let him beat me. But you haven't been pitching that way, so it's not like I got to get. I'll let Vlad get on because we can beat these guys beneath him. Because Kirk homered, Varsho's been crushing the ball, and then like I said, Jimenez has had 2 big nights in a row, and they what was it 23-7? They outscored them, or 21-6, I think it was. Yeah, 21-6. In games 3 and 4. I think we're going to get Dodgers Mariners, and I don't even. I'm not. Even if we got Dodgers, I don't see how you beat the Dodgers right now.
If we
You're
got
gonna have to
Dodgers,
get 4. Good.
I was gonna say Dodgers Mariners is the only scenario where every single state in the United States and Japan might be rooting for the Mariners, even with Shohei,
Right.
just
Right.
because of how sick of people the Dodgers are probably gonna be after this. I mean, it's like I said a little bit ago, like they have proven throughout this run they can win every single type of way along the way.
Right. Right.
They'll hit you
And
all the way up and down
and
their lineup.
and by the way, so you can, teams get hot. And you could say, oh, they can beat you with this and this and this. The Dodgers could go on a 10-game winning streak because their starting pitching is itself. Doesn't have to pitch out of its element or pitch. The Dodgers could win 10 games in a row when their starting pitching fails because they're just going to crush the cover off the ball. No other team can make that claim. If the Blue Jays were to win 10 in a row for their starting pitching, you'd get a couple guys would be having starts. You'd be like, oh my God, look at that. The Dodgers, they got 4 starts and just,
Yeah,
I
you'd
mean,
want
they
like the Blue Jays starter tomorrow, like Savage, the kid who he had like a perfect game through 5 innings. You need like that type of performance against this team, which is you're not going to
and
get
that's the
rotating
difference
a
too.
bullpen starter every inning.
Right, right. And I wanted to mention that too, G. One of the things we saw it with Schlittler and and Yasevich, you saw it as well. When you're young and you're a thrower, you're generally not going to have back-to-back outings that are studly against the same team because they're going to realize the things that all the things the Mariners hitters realized the second time around. I mean, this kid was striking everybody that came to the plate out the first night because they really hadn't seen him. Next night, he had, I think he had 1 punch out for the first 3 innings or 4 innings. Uh, Still battled, but that's the difference again between in October. It's about pitching to a level that few people can imagine. But
And the
I did go ahead.
I was gonna say the other stuff that people don't really understand, and this was 20 years ago now, that like guys like David Ortiz, the real sick fanatics about hitting, like they're taking little things in between at bats during these games. Like every single at
Right,
bat, they're going down and they're like
right.
critiquing and finding little things like, all right, if I'm like an inch more inside or my shoulder, these things, these
Or you know what?
microscopic things.
And it started when I was playing, but it's gotten more now. Those iPads you see on the bench, okay, when he's throwing his slider, he's tucking his glove a lot lower. Or when he's throwing his fastball, he's setting higher. You notice those things with a lot more attention to detail. And I did want to mention, we're talking about pitching, but apparently Tarik Skubal and the Detroit Tigers are $250 million apart, which it sounds amazing,
It's
but
not as
you know
much
what?
as it used to be.
But I totally expected them to be distant initially. Um, if this, I don't know what the numbers look like, but if it ends up settling, it'll be if you look at 250 million in difference, it's not going to be they're not going to split 125 million. The Tigers are going to come very close to the 250.
Yeah, that's
just because. But we were talking about this. This screams Yankees. If they're 250 million apart, the Tigers aren't a team that can just, okay, we're going to throw 250 out there. They might do it, but they won't do it comfortably. They won't do it haphazardly. This is a Yankees move.
It's not a Detroit move in the sense where it's not like I said I would love to see him on the Red Sox or the Cubs or something like that, where those teams don't like to have the highest paid contract in history.
Well,
like the Dodgers or the Yankees.
let's say, for instance, let's say that they offered, and I'll just use this example, that they offered him 10 years, 500 million, or that he wants 10 years for 500 million, right? And they offered him 10 years for 250 million. They might come up to, if he's not going to settle, and I'm going to bet my bottom dollar he's a Scott Boras guy. I'm not sure though, but if the Tigers come up, they come up to 10 years, maybe 400 million at the top end. He goes into the free agent market. The Yankees walk in and say, "Hey, here's 10 years for 650 million."
Yes.
Right off the bat.
Scott Boras.
Yeah. So you're talking about, and the Red Sox won't play that game. No chance.
No.
Even though this is the guy
with Crochet, but
this is the guy, right? I told you that it my God, if you could bring a guy in that would make Crochet your 1A.
I was going to say, can you imagine?
Wow. But this is the guy. If you want a window to win 3, 4, 5 years with that offense, the young offense in Boston, which I believe is legit, this is the guy you sign. Because I'll tell you what.
Imagine that 3-game wildcard series with Crochet and then Skubal.
No, but it's over. It's over.
Now that there are 3-game series, that should be more of a consideration having 2
Right,
ones.
exactly right. But I see the Yankees coming in saying, and I've told the story often about 2003 when I was negotiating with Boston. The Yankees had made it clear to me, listen, if you don't sign with them, if you hold off and the window opens and we can come in, we'll put the check, you fill it out. They'll literally go way above. I don't think the Dodgers would do it. But I could see it. The only other team that I see potentially that even would think about it would be the Mets and Cohen. I could see him doing that. Yeah. But the Phillies won't do it. They won't blow that payroll to that number because and this is after this year, obviously.
That's also where their team's headed too. They're gonna have to start to think about the future again.
But if for some reason, and I got to tell you honestly, if I'm Tarik Skubal, there's nothing about Detroit. I mean, it's not a fun place to play. I get it, and it's your first team, and there's a lot of things that go emotionally with that. But you're looking out at some. I mean, can you imagine? Look at how famous he is playing in Detroit, which is not a major market, never has been. God dang, can you imagine? I mean, now let's get crazy and say the Dodgers say, you know what, screw it, we're doing it. Baseball quits. I mean, the rest of the game just quits because. But there's only, and you're not going to have a surprise suitor. Some dark team is going to come out of the woodwork like the A's or the Rays. No one's going to do that because you're going to be talking about $500 million to $750 million.
Yeah.
And Boras is going to be looking to get him 50 to 60 to 70 million a year. Absolutely, unequivocally, without a doubt. And the only teams that could do that would be the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees. The Red Sox could absolutely do it. And if I'm the Red Sox, I got to tell you, I got to think long and hard about that. I'm paying the luxury tax because I am absolutely, unequivocally, without a doubt, the World Series favorite with those two guys starting in front of my team. The problem becomes the kid from Baltimore that went free agent, that the ace that Arizona got hurt this year.
Patrick Corbin?
No. Corbin Burns.
Corbin Burns. I was right with Corbin.
Right, but you look at Burns this year, and then you look at Garrett Cole, and the Yankees don't care about that stuff. Other teams do.
They can afford not to.
Right. But you're going to be paying a luxury tax, a very high luxury tax, which is going to be offset by the multi-billion dollars you're going to get for winning a couple World Series in that time frame because you're going to do that. And I like I said, I know we're 2 years out, but it makes me think. First off, I have a lot of trouble seeing Boris in signing or him signing before the season because he's free agent. Unless that that quarter of a billion difference goes to almost where the Tigers meet them at their number or close. If they're a quarter billion off, I would tell you he's looking for 60 to 70 a year for 6 to 8 years. That's the only way you can get $250 million off and still be offering him a monster deal.
Yeah.
And I don't blame the Tigers for hesitating, but I'm not sure that this is the guy because he's a max effort guy. So I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the workload and all, but my God, if he's the guy we talked about with the Red Sox, if the Red Sox can find a way to bring a legit 1A, my God.
My one request is if you're gonna keep him, Detroit, fucking leave him in. Leave him in.
Well,
all
yeah,
right? Don't
I
take
think
him
that's
out
part of it.
6 1/3 with
Right.
13 Ks.
Right.
Because
Well,
if you're not going to
again,
make it past one round and I only get to see Tarik Skubal make one October start, then that's bullshit and he
Right.
should at least go 7. I don't
right.
care if he's throwing
No,
130 pitches.
Yeah,
Let it be his
there's
decision. He's the hoss.
it's got. I mean, I'm kind of chuckling. I don't know if you saw the video of Scherzer last night. I'm laughing. I was kind of laughing because
I didn't know if you
Max
wanted
Scherzer.
to talk about that too.
Well, I mean, he's going like primal over. Leave me in this game in the 5th inning. Like, what? Like, how is that? Like, and listen, he's a Hall of Famer, right? He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. All things go with that, but that's also a guy who missed a playoff start with a stiff neck, and he also missed another playoff start with a tired arm. And so
I think I mean, yeah, that's an easy thing for you. You're probably one of 5 people on the
right,
planet that
and
can make that comment. So, but I mean, he did win a game they had to
right.
win.
No, hey, I applaud it, but I was kind of chuckling at the fact that in the 5th inning he was like demanding to stay in the game.
I think what you're chuckling more about is the fact that nowadays that's like a wow, what a tough guy for doing that.
Exactly right.
Not necessarily because he's always been a psychopath, but
he's a stud. He's a stud. But
like a screw loose guy. Like he's a yeller. He's a screamer. Like if you read about stories about him in college, he was a psycho person. He would yell.
Yeah.
I think I said this on the podcast in an earlier episode. For extra fast fastball, he would yell fast when he was throwing it in college.
Yeah.
Like he's a head case. But yeah, that's a huge win, and like I said, you're one of maybe 3 people that can be like pussy sat out of a World Series start. It's like, yeah, man, you're the guy who went up on one leg, so yeah, you get to say that. But
no,
most people
and
I
don't mean to. I don't mean to downplay it because he pitched a huge game. They needed him. He showed up and delivered. And being a very different pitcher than he used to be, there's something to be said for that. And he clutched up, and good for him. But like I said, I was kind of smirking a little bit at the whole. Oh wow, look at that! He just battled. He grind, and I'm laughing too because his teammates were all like, "Oh my God, what just happened?" They were all like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, because guys
I
don't
can tell
do
you,
that.
I had. You know how many times I literally had to my manager had to be pulled away from me a couple different I would fight I'm not coming out.
You
I'm
and
not coming
Terry
out.
also had a unique relationship where he had you as
I'm
a
talking
young
about
guy.
Fregosi.
But I'm saying
I was
towards the end of your career too, when you had that you're at a veteran status, you have a little bit of space to argue for yourself.
Right. Well, it was almost a sense it was like, Terry, I'll let you know when you need to come out. Otherwise, just stay in the dugout and do your thing. But I earned that, and veterans earn that, and I don't wonder listening to the manager talk about it, how he was laughing and fired up. I'm not so sure he didn't organize that event. Like he went out there because I think he went out there because he knew what Max was going to do, and he wanted that. Which God bless him if he did. That's good managing. Because the boys were fired up.
I was going to say, everyone else definitely got a little juice from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, those are momentum things. And again, that's not a moment you get when you have a bullpen by committee night, right? Those are just the little things that aren't sabermetrically calculatable. And hard to put fingers on. But kudos to Max, and again, kudos to the Mariners. Raleigh hitting a big home run tonight to tie the game, and
Suarez with the grand
Suarez
slam of the
just
franchise history.
yeah. Yep, good for him. And that's a pretty good
And
story
good for Mariners
franchise.
fans who continue to cry in the stands. Like
Right.
it is the most
Right.
Seattle thing of all time. Just a bunch of grown men crying over a non-clinching win.
Right. But
guys, act like you've been there. I know you never won anything, but God dang it.
But part of it too is that you've got a pretty storied franchise to have never been to the World Series. A-Rod, Ichiro, Griffey, Buhner, Randy Johnson. I mean, there's been a lot of really good players come through that city. And I'm going to say it again, phenomenal baseball city. Very, very East Coast in their passion and love for the game. So I'm expecting. I still think the Blue Jays and Mariners are going to push it to 6 or maybe 7. I think the Mariners come out on top.
Well,
I'm having a hard time.
It is going 6.
Yeah. No, I mean 7. I meant 7. I'm having a very hard time seeing anybody beat the Dodgers in 7 games. I really am. I can't see. You're going to get Snell twice. You're probably going to get Yamamoto twice.
It really comes down to which one of these lineups do you believe in more? Because it's you're gonna have to hit the Dodgers starting pitching. Because, like you said, for the Brewers, it's gonna come down to can you get to the bullpen?
Right. And by the way, the before the Mariners gave up a couple touchdowns the last 2 nights, their starting pitching is about as good as it gets. So could they go in and shut down the Dodgers? Absolutely. It would be surprising.
That'll be
the
headline nobody saw coming if that is what happens.
Yeah. So, all right. So we have. Listen. Let's just say that for all intents and purposes, if they go to a game 7 in the Mariner Blue Jays, we'll live stream it and follow it along.
Yeah, that'd be Monday night. So Sunday night is game 6.
Right.
So we'll have a show out after that, but we'll let you know. Obviously, you'll know as well. So.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, guys.
All right, buddy. Yep. Hit like, subscribe, guys. We'll see you on Sunday.
Go Blue Jays.